love that energy. Not one, not two. You think about what's been going on for the last 10, 20 years of basketball? UConn. Don Staley's like, UConn what? I'm sorry? No. It's South Carolina. And I absolutely love this kind of new shift in women's basketball. Sia Cook, like,
that
girl,
was my favorite outfit. Bill also here, she was absolutely amazing in the power suit. I mean, these girls came and they served and they ate and left absolutely no crumbs. I mean, this was the red carpet, the orange carpet, we should say, that you wanted.
Orange carpet, exactly. Draymond, get it done in 4 or 5. One fan thought that was the game plan being given away.
And that's a pretty simple game plan. If so, I don't think they stand a chance. I don't think they stand a chance if that's the game plan. It's over. Draymond is just saying what we all already understand. Let's see if the Kings are really about that life. They might be.
Block Nation, what's going on? OBJ here, ready to get to work. See Zion's here. Daddy, can you say Block Nation? Block Nation? No, but we ready to get to work. Much love, let's get it.
I've talked to Lamar while we was out there, and I know that's a better discussion for these two as far as how that's going to get handled. But the goal was, to come here and have that possibility to play with him, and I'm excited about that opportunity. As far as the team, I just ready to bring leadership, I've been out for a long time. I had to sit there and watch everyone else play. And I'm just excited to get back on the field, and it's good to be where you're wanted. And, like we said, we've had communication since last October, and, you guys showed me that you wanted me to be here and that I was going to be a very big piece to this organization.
Well, that was the scene today in Baltimore. Welcome to Brother from Another. Reeta Hubbard, the NFL chick, is here. What's up, Reeta? How you doing?
Happy Thursday Eve, Mike.
Friday Eve. I mean, you see the third.
What did I say? Thursday Eve? Well, you know
Thursday
what?
Eve.
When it's warm outside, any day can be whatever you want it to be because it all runs together at that point. So it is Friday Eve.
It makes me wonder.
But
it makes me wonder what kind of plans. Makes me wonder what kind of plans you have because you're already thinking ahead. You got something big. You'll tell us before the hour is up. But welcome to Brother from Another. Whether you're consuming us on Peacock TV, YouTube, Sirius XM Channel 85, we're glad to have you. Always are. Now listen, tell your friends, tell your family. Check us out. Reeta, OBJ today in Baltimore, a couple of quick observations, and I need your insight and your perspective to kind of drive this thing. One, seeing him land there in Baltimore, last time I saw him on a plane, it was a little different than this. So I'm glad that this one, was amicable.
It was a good one.
Okay, it was amicable. He wasn't the dude from like 5B wouldn't be like, hey, why won't you just get off the plane? Like, yo, man, shut up. You ugly. And he's like, sit down. I'll never get, just because of you, I'm not getting off the plane. So this was nice and cute.
This is a chartered flight, by the way, now. He wasn't even flying commercial anymore. So, he can do whatever he wants on that chartered plane. The baby can run around. Nobody's going to put him off.
Cute kid. Look at that, the cutest kid. And so the other thing is, and this is where I want you to take over. Sometimes, if you've been following a team for a long time, every team, whatever your favorite team is, in any sport, your team has an area where your team struggles. It might be a position, it might be time management in football, something, you know it, and everybody who follows your team knows it. So for the Baltimore Ravens, they really struggle with finding wide receivers. So on one hand, you say, oh, wow, they got Odell Beckham Jr. This is cool. On the other hand, if you're a Ravens follower and Ravens fan, you say, stand in line with the others. We thought we had a good receiver when XYZ was here. Why are you different? So that's my question, Reeta. Why is this different? This OBJ signing, $15 million guaranteed. Nobody else is going to give him that. He's got incentives that can kick it up to 18. Nobody else is going to do that. Why is this different?
It's not different from what the Ravens have seen from a success standpoint, ironically, right? The times that they've had success, if you look at it, they've had Derek Mason after moving out of his prime, traded for Anquan Bolden, moving out of his prime, and Steve Smith, who eventually retired after he left the Ravens, after his contract was up. So ironically, this is not different from what they're used to doing because the Ravens typically don't develop wide receivers well, historically, minus Torrey Smith and potentially what we could see with Rashad Bateman. But when the Ravens were successful, Mike, they have gotten those guys. And what happened there? You had Derek Mason, who eventually went to an AFC championship. You had Anquan Bolden, who eventually they won a Super Bowl with. And you had Steve Smith, who they went to the divisional round, probably should have won that game against the Patriots, but they had no secondary, so they lost two touchdown leads in that game. But ultimately, this is what they do.
Oh, I remember. I remember that.
I'm sure you do.
I remember that
right?
one. I remember that one.
But ultimately, this is when they go for a guy in free agency, and I'm talking about really make a splash. It has helped this organization and the team that they've been tremendously. And I've always wondered why they haven't done that more. If you know that you're not really good with getting guys and wide receivers and they develop well here, then do what's best. And what's best is you either got to trade for a guy, you either got to get a guy in free agency, or you got to get a guy potentially that's on the June 1st cut block. But ultimately, this is what they've had in the past, and it's turned to winning success for them. I don't know why they waited so late to do this, though. That is something that I'm curious about. We heard that they tried to go after DeAndre Hopkins in a trade. We obviously know he went to Arizona instead. But to me, that's not enough. You have to go out and you have to try to find veteran leadership because clearly when you've had that, you've done well with that. So I'm glad that they finally figured that part back out again. They've reassessed that and said maybe that's what they need to do. The money and the age and the durability are all question marks. But it's a risk that they're willing to take because they know that they need wide receiver help. They've needed it for quite some time. And you can really hope that Odell is healthy enough to really help this team.
I'm wondering if there's a connection, Rita. I'd love to get your perspective on it. I mean, you look at Odell Beckham Jr. and some of the quarterbacks that he's had in his career, he's had like the best quarterbacking situation he's been in very early in his career, when Eli was still doing his thing, and then Eli fell off. But then he goes from Eli, goes to Baker. That really wasn't working out too well. Goes from Baker to Matthew Stafford. That was the best, catching a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And then that damn grass or whatever that is, that fake turf, field turf, did him in. And I remember, to name drop here for a second, I'm watching the Super Bowl in LA at SoFi. I like to say that. I was just there. Go ahead
and start on us then, Brad. Go ahead and start on us.
So not only that, not even that. So I was there. I was standing next to the great Rodney Harrison. Rodney sees the play in real time, and I'm like, he reacted faster than anybody. He sees the play. Rodney goes, "Oh man." I said, what happened? What happened? He goes, he just tore his ACL.
Oh, boy.
Did you get a report? No, I can tell. He just tore his ACL. He's out for the game, man. That's bad. He was having a great game. He was doing great. So that was the peak for him with Matthew Stafford, who had a great year in 2021. And now he's been out for a long time, goes to a situation where he could have Lamar Jackson, Rita. He could have Lamar Jackson. But he also could have Huntley as his quarterback. Do you think this signing lures Lamar back, or two separate things? Lamar's got his own thing. Odell's got his own thing.
I mean, it helps, right? I mean, Lamar clearly responded to it. He made a post on Instagram about it. You know, they were out in the club at Live, even though Lamar didn't look like he had the most fun. But that, you know, I get it. I ain't a club person either. I'm a lounge person. Lamar doesn't get me to be the type that likes to celebrate, but Odell said, come on, let's celebrate. We outside and I got some new money. So it looks like Lamar is on board, but obviously Lamar has his own things that he has to deal with. And I don't think that that necessarily changes the narrative. But as of right now, Mike, nobody has put in an offer sheet. There's not a trade that we know of, because anything could happen, you know, draft night. But there's not a trade that we know of in place for Lamar Jackson. It looks more and more like Lamar will be a Raven in 2023. And so in that regard, I think that you got to really be excited about that. And this will probably be the most athletic, well, it's not probably, it will be the most athletic dude that Odell has played with thus far if Lamar and Odell make the field together here in Baltimore.
Oh, sure.
So it will
Definitely.
and obviously if they can both stay healthy, because we both know that Lamar has had his own issues with health the last couple of years. And then we know that Odell hasn't played a whole year while he was healing with his ACL injury. If those two can stay healthy on the field, 75% of the season, I really feel like that this could be something potentially special. And I feel like this could get back to what the quote unquote Ravens way was when they were winning, which was bringing in veteran wide receiver leadership, helping the guys like a Rashad Bateman and a Devin Duvernay develop, and being able to be productive on the field and help this team reach past the one playoff win in the Lamar Jackson era that they've seen.
Wow, 1-3 in the playoffs for Lamar Jackson. So we'll see what happens next year. Now, there's some money. I mentioned this off the top. The money in this deal, the person responsible, one of the people responsible for giving Odell Beckham Jr. that contract is the general manager, Eric DeCosta. Here's DeCosta at that press conference today.
Well, I have not talked to Lamar since the signing. There's been interaction along the way. You know, Lamar is in our plans. We love Lamar. Our feelings about Lamar have not changed one bit since the end of the season. We're hopeful still that we'll get a long-term deal done. He's the right player for this team to lead us to where we want to be. I think the locker room knows that. The organization knows that. I think the fan base knows that. So it's ongoing. But I can't think of a situation where we wouldn't think that our best team is with Lamar Jackson on the team in September.
Hey, listen. Now, remember I said the last time Odell was on a plane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before this, it looked a little different today. The last time I heard Eric DeCosta talk about Lamar Jackson, it was a little chippy. It was a little frosty in there. Hey, PR people had to come in. Hey, no. We're not talking about that. This is a pre-draft press conference. You know, like, come on now, calm down. That was great. Eric DeCosta, if the same PR person who shut down the previous conversation was responsible for this, well, here, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, because you know what, Rita? You're not just talking to the fans. You're talking to Lamar. You're talking to Lamar's teammates. This is what they want to hear. Now, it could be total BS. I don't know, but it sounds good. That is what Eric DeCosta should be saying. What do you think of those very strong words from DeCosta?
I mean, I know that GMs lie. I know, look, people lie all the time, right? So I understand that. And as of right now, because there's not a contract, it feels like a lie. But I believe it. I truly believe that the Ravens think that Lamar is what they need and that is who they want. It makes so much sense in so many different ways. The players love him. The fans love him. He is a perfect fit for the city of Baltimore. And then to add some weapons to him, just to see him, and a new offensive coordinator, by the way, and to see what he could do, really the sky could be the limit here. John Harbaugh has always talked affectionately about Lamar. It is very clear that he loves Lamar. And I think that, you know, Eric DeCosta, I believe that he does too. Now, does he get tired of the questions like what happened last week at the draft luncheon, AKA the liar's lunch is what we like to call it? Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Right? But ultimately, you know, I believe that they want Lamar here. And I believe that they're dedicated to trying to make something work because he is best fit to be a Baltimore Raven and nothing else. Outside of the Atlanta Falcons, who have said that they're going with Desmond Ridder. And good luck to you, Atlanta Falcons, right? Lamar is fit best here in Baltimore. And I really hope that having OBJ here says, look, we're trying to extend the olive branch of getting you better weapons. And hopefully we can get back to the table of negotiating and getting a new deal done. Because he deserves the money. He deserves more than $32 million. We can all agree
That's
on
right.
that.
I agree. He does. I'm a little concerned, though, about these incentives in OBJ's contract, the reachable ones. Okay, you go. Okay, 15 million. You go ahead. All right, you want Odell. You've already paid him, and Odell knows it. You paid him more than anybody else in the league would have, and he made a reference to it today. Beckham, I'm talking about, where he said, "Hey, you made it clear that you wanted me," and part of making it clear that somebody wants you, they step up with that paper. That's in professional sports. You can say all that. Oh, we love you, and this is great. But have you made that move? Have you made the move that are you going to do something that nobody else will do? And Baltimore did. But the incentives, Rita, are scary. Hey, he's got to lead the team in receptions, got to lead the team in touchdown receptions and all this. And I think you don't necessarily have a great receiver there, but you got a pretty great tight end. Some say the best in football. And so is this like if you're in the red zone, Lamar Jackson doesn't run it in. If he runs it in, maybe Odell's like, damn, it's 3 yards, man. Just give me a little 3-yarder. I got money on the line. Or if he doesn't run it in, and he tosses it to Andrews, he's like, damn, I'm open. I got money on the line. I don't like incentives like that because especially when you get late in the season.
Yeah.
Then then it's like you start to see ghosts. Hey, you know what? They don't want me to reach these incentives. Who's they? Who? Oh, they don't. They don't want this to happen. They don't want to pay me. They cheap. Wait a minute, man. It was just it was the right situation. So I don't know about those incentives. What do you think?
Look, I feel like those incentives he can probably make, though. That's the crazy thing, right, Mike? Like, I get it. We know that Mark Andrews is a receiver in a sense, right? He's just a tight end in name only, but essentially he's one of the Ravens' top receivers. So it is possible that he could have more touchdowns than OBJ. But I don't think any of those incentives are out of the realm here because I think that he's going to get the ball a lot. And if he can stay healthy, he's probably going to be in position to get every single one of them. But it's funny that you mentioned that because I can remember last year, Justin Houston, the Ravens outside linebacker, had an incentive and he missed it by half a sack. Now, look, you just got to pay the dude. If you miss something by half a sack, I'm sorry. Or half. Give him the money. I think that's extremely unfair. Just give him the money. Come on now. Don't play with people like that. And so things like that do happen, right? You're one touchdown or one reception away from getting some type of incentive and then, nothing happens. But in this offense, and remember, Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator who worked with him in Cleveland. I don't feel like that this is out of the realm that he can't reach these incentives, really. So, we're just not, look, the Ravens could take whatever they can get. Odell might get the ball more than anybody else at this point because we have not had a receiver of this caliber since Steve Smith. And that's been quite some time now.
All right, I'm gonna tell you a story, then I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, just real quick. Let's tell you a story.
Okay.
So, I love Martha's Vineyard. Love going there on vacation. I just love going there. I love hanging out there. It's great. So about 17, this was a long time ago, Rita. 16, 17 years ago, went with a big group, including a young Michael Smith, who was just married. So Michael Smith, his wife, his daughter Savannah was just born. So it must have been like 16, 17 years ago, whatever. So we got a whole group of people. And then one day we have some food and somebody's on the grill. My cousin Keisha made some baked beans that people are still talking about. She brought some baked beans to the cookout that people are still talking about today. My question for you is, what can you bring to a cookout? Because I'm going to tell you in a second. Oh, we got a cookout coming on. And everybody's invited.
Okay.
All of the NFL, real righteous NFL fans are invited. We're going to have a cookout in a place that you ain't really feeling. It's going to be in D.C. I'm sorry.
It's all
Cookout in
good.
D.C.
I can
What
deal
you
with
bringing
my
to the
cousins down the street.
what can you bring to the cookout that will make people talk about it for years and years?
I make some good turkey burgers. I make real good turkey burgers. Now, my friends always make a joke about it because one time we had a cookout and we had more people than we thought we'd had. So them turkey burgers turned into turkey sliders or maybe large turkey meatballs in terms of the size, right? So we had to put up on the little potato roll as opposed to a bun. But listen, I make very good turkey burgers. So I will
Bring
be up to make
those
you
turkey burgers.
I
Bring
got
them.
you.
As a matter of fact, no, don't bring them. Like, we'll make them there because I don't know if they travel. They travel well from Baltimore to D.C.
That'd be fine. Look, they can sit overnight. They can sit overnight in the fridge and get all the juices in. It will be just fine. Don't worry about it. But make sure it's not
It's
on
a party.
Thursday, whatever that was that I said earlier.
Listen, hey, it's a party, Rita, because the Washington Commanders is an agreement in principle.
Yes.
I need to see it. I need to see it, though. I need to see it. I need to hold it. I need to see that paper. But agreement in principle, $6 billion. Josh Harris already got the 76ers, already got the New Jersey Devils. Add the Washington Commanders to the list. And Daniel Snyder, ding, freaking dong, the witch is dead. Okay, we will party with you. We will cook out with you, Washington. We love you.
We know that the Washington, Baltimore folks, we ain't the best of friends, but what we do understand is that we can't, rooting for bad teams is bad for our health. So in that regard, I'm bringing my turkey.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, before the cookout, the whole area, we go wipe. It's like in the early days of COVID, you get those wipes, and you're wiping down everything because you can get COVID from this, COVID from that. That whole building is infected. That area is infected. We're fumigating, we're wiping, we're cleaning, everything done over. Get out, Snyder.
Get out.
Now it's time for the cookout.
Yep.
Who's going to be on the grill at the cookout, though? Who's on the grill?
Not me. Now,
I
I
don't
made
know.
the burgers.
I don't know. Hey, listen, don't be bringing a potato salad with raisins in it, though. We ain't doing that.
Hey, this is David Justice, two-time World Series champion. I need you to check out MLB Bro because you need to know.
MLBBro.com, covering black and brown major leaguers.
Oh, I love this.
Love
MLBBro.com. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if Rob Parker realizes the impact he's had on so many careers in sports journalism. Rita, I was probably like 6 years old. Okay, I wasn't that young. Okay, but seriously, I was 19 or 20, and I went to a journalism conference for aspiring journalists, those who want to be in the business. And we had somebody from the Cincinnati Enquirer, and she said, "What are you interested in, young man?" I said, "I want to be a sports writer." She said, "Well, you need to learn how Rob Parker does his thing. He is the best baseball beat writer in the country, bar none. We got the best baseball beat writer at the Cincinnati Enquirer." And she was talking about Rob Parker. And you know what? She wasn't exaggerating. Man, good to see you. And tell us about your great project that you have started.
Well, Mike and Rita, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on the show. And I got to tell you, MLBBro.com is my baby, my dream. It's for the culture. As you know, baseball is a big part of the Black culture. Even way before Jackie Robinson, we already know about the Negro Leagues and how, even though we got into baseball as far as the major leagues in 1947, we own so many records and have so much impact in baseball. So, as a baseball writer and a BBWAA member and all that, I thought, like, what could we do to highlight the Black player, both present and past? And that's where the idea from MLB Bro came up. We started 2 years ago. This was our third season. And Major League Baseball, they monitored our site the first 2 years, and this year decided to get into a partnership with us. So now a lot of our content, both, videos on social media, videos that we play on MLB Network, and some of our stories, written stories, also will now appear on MLB.com. It's a great partnership. It heightens our awareness and our reach to people, and the response has been tremendous. We have a staff of over 60 people, Mike, you ready? All young Black men and women who want to cover Major League Baseball. And of course, the biggest thing about the whole project is my dream and goal of developing the next generation of Black sports writers who want to cover baseball and content creators. That's really my dream and my goal of MLBBro.com.
I love this concept. Baseball was my first love, actually. I grew up a huge baseball fan. And so to see this, because we lack so much representation now, what is it, about 7% of the league is Black at this point? I just love highlighting Black players and brown players. And I also love the idea of you highlighting young people wanting to get into the business, because it is something Black people love baseball, and we don't talk about it enough. I'm in a Black girl baseball group chat, guys. So it's love out here. It's love out here.
That's awesome. Rita, you got to turn everybody on in your group to MLBBro.com. And we have so many people working for us and doing stuff, and all over social media. And it's been, the response from the players has been great. Like even Major League Baseball. And Michael, you know this, Major League Baseball is an $11 billion business. They don't have to do anything they don't want to do, okay? They're gonna make money regardless. And for them to say, hey, we love what you're doing. They didn't ask us to change anything. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Don't say this, no. Let us do what we're doing. They love the idea. And they also are pouring into developing Black sports writers who want to cover baseball. I think that's very important. They don't want their narrative about their game to only come from one group of people. And I think that's smart for a league.
Yeah, you're continuing a tradition that's been happening for years and years of sports writers who are looking out for the next generation. And I know that, guys like Larry Whiteside did that for you, did that for me, did that for many people, was selfless enough saying, hey, I don't want to be the only one here. I want to make sure that we see the diversity and the range that's out there with these young people who are not getting an opportunity. That's one. But two, speaking of that diversity and range, Rita gave a number, 7%, 8%. I know whatever that number is, it's shrinking. And I just want to hear your perspective on it, Rob. Why is it so difficult? Why has it been so challenging to maintain Black participation in Major League Baseball? For a couple of years, the last 3 or 4 World Series teams, we're always counting, there's one or 2 Black players on championship teams. Why is that?
Well, it's a combination of things. And I'm here to report that the numbers are getting better. You got Jordan Walker, who's the instant star in St. Louis, and we'll talk about him and what he's going to do as far as changing the perception of the game. But this past year, Mike, in the Major League Baseball draft, 3 of the top 5 players drafted were Black. First time in the history of Major League Baseball that 3 of the top 5 were Black players. So they're coming. What happened is, let's just be honest, we're no longer the number 1 minority in this country. It's Hispanics, and they've blown past us in a big way. And also about 15 or 20 years ago, Major League Baseball also started outsourcing the jobs, starting academies in Latin America. They don't have to deal with agents and lawyers and all that you have to do if you deal with American kids. So you go over there, you build up these academies, and you put these kids in there and they play baseball all day, you know what I mean? And you feed them 3 meals a day. And if they develop, they get paid and they move to the major league. So it's not like baseball's not going to pay them. But you don't have the issue of whether or not they're going to make it. And I gave a guy $10 million signing bonus and he never makes it to the major leagues. The other part is, sadly, in our culture, we've had a lot of these AAU coaches who have taught kids out of playing more than one sport. You got to play basketball 24/7. You got to play football 24/7. If you run track or you do something else, you can't be on the football team. You can't be on the basketball team, which is selfish because everybody's not making it to the NBA. And if a kid is an athlete, he should explore everything. We saw Kyler Murray. That did the first player ever. First round in the NFL, first round in Major League Baseball. Never happened before. Again, that's what should be the model for kids, that you can play more than one sport. And if it doesn't work out in something, then you fall back on another sport. And I think that's what happened, Mike, to be honest. And a lot of kids don't want to put in, we're in an instant gratification society. They want to go to high school or college and go straight to the pros and make millions. Baseball, that's not the process. You might get a $300 million contract, but you got to go to the minor leagues and ride on buses, Reeta, for 3 years. That's normally what it takes to get to the big leagues.
I agree. And what about the RBI program? My son used to be a part of that program, and I know that they've wanted to put their efforts into that. But I really feel like that would be a big part of having engaging situations within urban communities, because that was what was going on not long ago.
The RBI program has been a hit. There have been players that come out of that, so that was baseball realizing that they needed to do something in the inner cities to get kids involved. Baseball's different. And the biggest problem too was showcases. So they have these things called showcases where you got to pay like $1,000 for a weekend and all the scouts come out there. And a lot of kids who are playing, minorities, blacks, don't have $1,000, for a baseball showcase. So you don't get seen in those things. So these kind of things are being knocked down, and they're trying to look other places where it's not just a money grab by all of these baseball showcases and coaches and whatnot who are trying to make money off the parents and the kids. So that's another part of the game that needs to get better.
You know what? This sounds like a true labor of love, Rob, and I'm proud of you for this. So we talked about love. Now let's talk about hate for a second. Can I hate on the Tampa Bay Rays? I'm telling you, I want them. They're going to win today. Hey, look, I want them to lose. They're off to a historic start, best start since 1900. I hope they lose their next 100 games. I cannot stand this franchise. They are bad for baseball. They're bad for. There's so many franchises who are more deserving. They got 13 people at their games. They don't spend any money. They just had a $40 million signing. That was the biggest signing in Tampa Bay history. They signed a guy for 3 years, $40 million. That's the biggest free agent contract in their history. And I think they get off on their analytical, ooh, we're the little brother. We don't have the resources of the Yankees and Red Sox. We do it a different way. I hope they never win, and I hope they lose forever. Tell me why I'm wrong about the Rays. I don't think you can.
You're not wrong about the Rays. We're in lockstep here. I'm with you in that they cheat the fans. Like they can win their way that they want, but you need stars. Reeta, look at the empty seats. I mean, the best part about going to a Rays game is you don't have to worry. There's no trouble parking. There's no trouble at the bathroom, and there's no trouble getting concessions because there's nobody there. If you're winning at that clip, your ballpark should be sold out. If you can't get fans to come in April when you start a 13-game winning streak, and here's the other thing.
Franchise. Just move the franchise. Go somewhere else, please.
It has to be moved. And the other thing, too, is, they're fugazi, if you really want to be honest, when you look at this 13-game start and 13-game winning streak. The 4 teams that they've played are the 4 worst teams in baseball, okay? Yep. You got the Red Sox, the Tigers, the Nationals, and the A's. Those 4 teams have a total of 14 wins all year, and the Rays have 13. That tells you all you need to know, that they haven't played anybody, and they've had so many cupcake wins early in the season. They should have a toothache because there's so much sugar in that.
and
you know what, Reeta?
Wait a minute, real quick. I am an Orioles fan, by the way. And guess what? My team's owner, John Angelo, said he wants to model his franchise off of. Just guess.
I
hope not, because that means the Orioles aren't going to win another World Series. And it's a shame because, you know what? It's like the Oakland A's and Billy Beane. You remember that whole analytics? What did they win, Mike? Did they ever? They never won anything.
No, they didn't. And you know what? And the Rays, see, this is why I don't like the Rays. I really, my hatred went up to the next level. When they went to the World Series, it's Game 6. They got their ace on the mound. They're down 3-2. You're just trying to make it to Game 7, baby. You got to survive. Their ace is shutting down. He's shutting down the Dodgers. What do? Because they put him on a pitch count in a World Series game. They put him on a pitch count. Analytics took over. They lose the World Series. See, they don't want to win. They really don't want to win. They don't do everything it takes to win. They got to do it their way. So it's really disappointing. And I got to say this really quickly about the Rays. They have stars. They develop stars. They just don't sign them.
That's it.
And that's the whole thing.
They move forward.
They don't
to
keep
team.
anybody.
Yep.
I do want to say this if we can. Are we going to get to Jordan Walker? I do want to make a point about him.
Oh yeah, make your Jordan. Yeah, make your Jordan Walker.
I want to say
point.
this about Jordan Walker because he's 6'6", 245 pounds, 20 years old. He's the athlete that baseball has been missing on. These guys have been going to the NFL. He's a throwback, guys, to you know who? Dave Winfield.
Dave Winfield. Oh, I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
He was drafted by 4 different leagues, the ABA, the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. He picked baseball, had a Hall of Fame career, 20 years. I love what Jordan Walker with the St. Louis Cardinals is a movement. He's a movement. Remember, I told you that.
Okay, let me ask you this. Before we let you go, because we know you got some great opinions on baseball. Your opinions on other sports are interesting at times, very interesting, thought-provoking, Rob. So you said, I saw you tweet that Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns have to win with Kevin Durant because if they don't, that's an indictment on Devin Booker. Were you coming at Devin Booker's head?
He said Devin Booker.
No, I mean, they already went to the team. They went to the NBA Finals without Kevin Durant already. They should be expected to win if Kevin Durant stays healthy. They got 4 top players who are better than anybody else's top 4 players in the West, and that's including the Golden State Warriors. So with Kevin Durant and those players, they should be thought of as the front runner. We'll see if Durant can stay healthy, and I know they didn't play that many games together, but look at those 4 guys, and KD, the last time he joined a good team, they won back-to-back championships.
Is that a bad take to you, Mike?
No. I thought he was. I thought he really wanted to go in on Booker a little bit, but no, I guess not. Your take on the Warriors, though, that's probably that's a minority opinion because if you listen to the Warriors talk, listen to Klay Thompson and Draymond. Hey, we won the championships. These other teams aren't ready for us. Nobody can beat us 4 times. They got the Kings on the road where they are terrible this year on the road. Now, our resident Warriors guru, Natalie, says it doesn't matter that their terrible road record is not real, and we'll see in the playoffs. How you feel about Kings Warriors, and do you think the Kings can pull off the upset even though they're the higher seed?
You know what? I like the way everybody discounts how bad the Warriors were. They were historically bad. As good as they were at home this year, they were terrible on the road. To just act like whatever happened during the regular season doesn't matter, I'm not convinced of that. I'm going, I think that the Kings will push them, and it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if the road struggles continue. Because then all the Kings have to do is go to Golden State, go to San Francisco and win a game. I mean, they were awful on the road, and they have to show me that they're a better team. There was something broken with the Warriors all year long, especially away from home.
I don't disagree with that at all. I agree that you can't discount playing bad during the season on the road. I don't think that that's something you can ignore. Do I think that you can clean the slate when the playoffs come? Sure. And then having Andrew Wiggins back maybe turns things around. Yeah. But I don't think you can just ignore something that existed because it happened, right? And you just hope that now you're saying, okay, slate is clean, we starting fresh, and now we getting our guy back. We can really make a run here. So we'll see how that goes.
And if they lose game one on the road, people will be in high panic.
That's right. Rob Parker, our guy, MLBBro.com. Check it out. And Rob, come on back. Your family. Come back anytime. We'll talk. We'll go over some hotter takes, even hotter.
All right. We will do that. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you, Rob.
My daughter called me the other day when she was getting out of school, and she was just, she just said, "Dad, can I come to the Toronto game?" I remember going to all the Toronto games when she was a kid, and I almost said no because she in school back home. She kept asking. She was just adamant about coming to support, and I just said, you can miss one day at school and, come to a game, and I'm glad I did. I owe her some money for sure. Is she coming back? No, she got to go back to school. School class. Yeah.
What was DeMar DeRozan referring to? He's referring to his daughter who just perfected the free throw distraction technique. And you can say it's a coincidence, Sam, but the Toronto Raptors missed half of their free throws last night. They missed half of their free throws, including two big ones at the end where they had an opportunity to try. Pascal Siakam had 3 free throw attempts, and he missed 2 of them. And DeMar DeRozan's 9-year-old daughter had the shriek thing going. Having daughters is powerful, Sam. I don't know if you have daughters, but I recommend it highly.
I'm not a girl dad. I've heard it's an amazing experience. I have boys myself. But if I was DeMar, I'd be proud. In all my years as a fan, as a reporter, I've never seen anything like this. It was actually impactful. And I think it's fair to say, wow, like these professional basketball players from Toronto who are pretty damn good at their jobs, they got a little shook. And it was so much fun to see her try to time it perfectly. And, do we need that every single time out from every kid in the building? That might get a little tough, but I love it. I thought it was a pretty neat little moment.
It was definitely dope. He said that she won't be at the next game, which is unfortunate because clearly she did her job. I hope that she gets paid something really good. I don't know what do these kids get? VC? What do they get now? They Roblox. She better get whatever she wants, right? Because she earned every cent. What she was doing. I'm doing schoolwork last night, guys, and I'm like, what is that noise? I literally thought it was something outside. Didn't know until after I went to Twitter that it was his daughter making that noise the whole time. So she did her job because she distracted me as well.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what allowance looks like when your dad's on a max contract, but something tells me she's going to do okay.
Yeah, even if your allowance, say, hey, I'll just take 2% of what your per game check is. That's a pretty good allowance for her. But I'm a little concerned here, though, Sam, because I look at Toronto and I kind of let it go when it happened because there were more interesting storylines. When Nick Nurse came out and said what he said, maybe with like a week or 2 weeks left in the season, and the Raptors in contention, I felt him as somebody who has worked for a while. Okay, I get it from a work perspective, but I'm like, why are you talking like this? Your team is not done. You're not done. You could increase your playoff odds. You could move up to a 7, 8, 9, I don't know, 9 seed. Why are you talking about next year? You're going to take a step back and you're not sure. I'm wondering if this, not just Nurse, I wonder if the Raptors really were about it, just emotionally invested in this play-in tournament. What do you think?
It's hard to tell. I mean, they were up big, you know what I mean? And they were looking like they were going to run away with this thing. But in general, Michael, I for sure agree with those questions that you raised are very, very fair. You know, if you go back for me earlier in the regular season, there was a lot of chatter about Nick Nurse's future in league circles. And I looked into it at one point, but I think the assumption that I made incorrectly was that maybe management with Masai Ujiri would be ready to try a new voice. And I was told back then, yeah, that's not correct. Like, let it play out, but that there was nobody pushing Nick out. What I did not see coming was this sentiment from Nick that maybe he's thinking about walking away. And we'll see what happens, but he's obviously been tied to the job in Houston with Steven Silas being let go. He's got ties to the Rockets organization. Timing-wise, a very strange time to reflect when you're still in the trenches, so to speak. But they played really, really well until Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan woke up and obviously took that game.
Sam, I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the situation with CJ McCollum, because obviously he made some comments last night that people haven't tried to interpret as their own based on what we know about Zion, who apparently looked like he was ready to play, but ultimately didn't play in that game. And so there's some speculation going on, people saying it wasn't a big deal, that the players are actually good, there's no issue. And then he comes out with these vague comments post-game. Now, obviously it doesn't help that he didn't have the best of nights to have those types of comments.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he said what he said, and obviously Zion could have been a factor had he played. What was your thoughts on what he said?
I think, again, in terms of fair analysis, it's not rocket science here. It felt like he was talking about Zion. He made a point at the end to say 1 through 15, pay attention to diet, pay attention to sleep. But you're using all these buzzwords, that, especially diet, that are tied to Zion.
Yeah.
I also think it carries more weight for a couple of reasons. He's the vet in that locker room. He's the president of the Players Association. And a little more context that came to mind for me is that recently, as the league and the players came to an agreement on a CBA, the games played was a major, major topic. And CJ has been outspoken about the idea that load management is driven by the teams and the organization, and that players really want to play. It feels like he's just deciding to lean into this issue, and that whether it's Zion or everybody else in the NBA, he wants guys to push through and be on the court. Now, only he knows exactly, where his mind is at, but he's smart enough to know how those comments were going to land for sure.
What do you think about Zion? And Rita brings up a great point about this player. A couple years ago, longer now, right after the NCAA tournament, I remember John Morant had a game, 40 points, 10 assists in the tournament. Like, round 1 they win, round 2 they lose. And so the question on those debate shows, I don't know, these debate shows and talk shows, I don't know about those. But the question came up, hey, should John Morant be the number 1 pick in the draft and Zion too? I was like, no way, you got to take Zion. But if you look at his career, he really is so talented. He's an all-NBA talent, clearly, but he just hasn't played. What do you think the story is with him, and what do you think his future is? Because I think it's probably best for all involved for him to just get a fresh start somewhere else. What do you think?
It's so hard to handicap, you guys, because, now you hear people saying that Joel Embiid is the best case scenario where Embiid survived a bunch of injuries in those first 4 years. Now, could be the MVP. What to me is so hard about kind of covering Zion is that it's both extremes. He's either completely on the shelf for a very long period of time, or he looks like he could be the MVP. You know what I mean? Like, he is that special, that impactful.
Yeah.
And if you're the Pelicans, you talk about the ultimate tease. Like, of course they don't want to give him up because this guy is that good. I also, media-wise, man, I've always had a hard time. I did not play the game in the pros, didn't play in college. And I've had a lot of times when we find ourselves, kind of trying to read a player's mind, is Zion simply saying, I chose not to play because of where my head is at when I'm totally fine physically? The way he framed it made it hard because you're telling folks that you're making a choice to not just get out there and give it whatever you can give it, which, not to sound like the old head, but it's like, I think if MJ was on this panel, he would probably say, like he did in his first year going to the playoffs, when ownership wanted him to shut it down with an injury and basically go for that lottery pick, he told them, that's not what we're doing. We're playing the Celtics. And then he dropped 60 plus on Larry Bird. And, that type of mentality, Zion's not making that choice. But again, you can probably even tell I get kind of hesitant to crack on these guys too much because I don't know exactly what he's dealing with. But it's hard. You know, they've got that massive contract and this future tied to a player that is so good when he's out there, but, you know, he just can't stay on the floor.
Before we let you go, I'm curious to know. I know we can talk playoff scenarios and such, but there's 4 Cali teams. Obviously, all the Cali teams have made it. Which one is the last team standing? Which one is the last team standing? Not to say that they're going to make it all the way, but the last team standing.
Right. No, good question, Rita. I think, you know, I live near Sacramento, so the locals might see this and get upset at their guy who used to cover the Kings. I don't think it's Sacramento. And I think the team that is probably going to take them out in the first round would be the last team standing of that foursome. Lakers Grizzlies is going to be really tough. You know, that's going to be a good series. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Clippers, no Paul George. I wrote a column last week one of those where I wasn't sure if I totally believed what I was writing, but that Andrew Wiggins being back, you know, makes me look at the champs and say, you know, I could actually see a world if you squint hard enough that they go out and do it again.
Wow. It's so fascinating because the opinions are so split on the Golden State Warriors. I mean, some people, and I'm with you. I look at them, they're dangerous. And other people look at them and say, come on, look at that road record. Look at the other teams. I don't know. So we'll see. Playoffs will begin this weekend. The real playoffs. I mean, sorry.
Playoffs.
Right.
This is just appetizer. This is just fun appetizer stuff here. But the real playoffs begin this weekend.
It's good
appetizers too.
Like, I'm already feeling kind of full. You know what I mean?
Sam, always great to hear from you.
Guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Rita, tell us about who you call the NIL queen, Angel Reese. What's up?
Yeah, you see it. You see the money, $1.3 million. And that's what allegedly why she left Maryland. They said she wanted a new start, but rumor has it she wanted some new money. And I ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Get everything in out of your college career. The degree, the money, everything. I love it.
I can't imagine being in college and saying something like she did. You know, I want that Benz. It's more lucrative to be here. I'm going to try to get a Benz. So go ahead, Angel. Get you a Benz. Thanks, Rita.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.